At exactly 3 a.m., the cockpits of thousands of planes across America go black. Commercial pilots are suddenly flying blind, as every primary navigation system fails at once. On the ground, phones still have full power and bright screens, but the maps are empty. The physical hardware is intact, but the invisible stream of locational data that guides it has vanished. Within 24 hours, the confusion cascades into a physical freeze. Rideshare networks and delivery drivers pull over, unable to navigate. Newsrooms struggle to explain a crisis where the power grid is functional, yet the country has stopped moving. Every one of these glowing satellite connection lines, the invisible tethers that link the United States to its orbital network, has abruptly vanished. America's security relies on hardening power plants and fortifying servers. Yet the country's most significant vulnerability hovers thousands of miles out of reach, in a fragile array of electronics quietly orbiting the Earth. By day 2, the global supply chain hits a wall. Massive cargo ships, carrying thousands of tons of goods, cut their engines and sit stationary in the middle of the ocean, rather than risk drifting into unknown waters. Commercial freight trains and container ships operate on automated schedules dictated by real-time spatial coordinates. Without those exact waypoints, moving 80,000 tons of cargo safely into a port becomes a mathematical impossibility. The financial system relies on a similar link. Satellites beam down GPS timing signals, highly precise, continuous timestamps that ensure the digital clocks on 2 separate banking servers tick at the exact same microsecond. When the satellite link breaks, those clocks begin to diverge. Within hours, the servers can no longer agree on the exact timing of a transaction, causing incoming data packets to bounce back rejected. Credit card terminals go down, and ATM networks freeze. With the financial sector paralyzed and freight sitting idle, the basic logistics of daily survival break down. Municipalities struggle to process payments to keep water filtration plants running, while grocery distribution centers can no longer route their fleets to restock bare shelves. Modern catastrophe is a silent, mathematical freeze of the hidden systems that move our essential resources. By week 2, the crisis reaches the highest levels of the Pentagon. Military command centers face a total tactical blackout. This diagram illustrates beyond line-of-sight communication. Because of the curvature of the Earth, a standard radio signal cannot reach a distant base directly. Modern militaries bounce their encrypted signals off satellites to communicate over the horizon. Without that relay, the signal misses the target and shoots straight out into space. Commanders lose all contact with forward-deployed troops, naval strike groups, and global drone fleets. The continuous stream of high-definition aerial surveillance, the data that allows generals to track movements and verify targets, is gone. The military is forced to operate blind. A high-tech superpower is suddenly thrust into an informational vacuum. They possess aircraft carriers, advanced stealth bombers, and precision-guided munitions, but lack the targeting data required to deploy them. $1 trillion of hardware sits idle. An army's firepower is useless if it cannot perceive the battlefield, proving that data infrastructure is just as critical as physical weapons. Around day 15, the initial shock shifts into a phase of frantic adaptation. Society begins a process of analog reversion. Faster, more energetic tone. Military commanders and civilian truck dispatchers dust off obsolete tools. They pull paper maps and compasses out of storage, and naval officers resort to dead reckoning, calculating speed and time by hand to resume basic movements. Engineering teams abandon digital networks to build ground-based, line-of-sight communication towers. These retro-style steel antennas are hoisted into place to create makeshift, localized networks. Survival in this scenario requires a violent collision of the future with the past, forcing an advanced society to regress in order to function. Then, on day 30, the satellite network reconnects as suddenly as it vanished. The glowing screens in cockpits and command centers blink back to life as locational data floods the grid. GPS timing signals bombard global servers, pulling their clocks back into perfect synchronization. With data packets flowing and precise waypoints restored, the supply chain begins to move again. There is immediate relief as the maps load on millions of phones. But a 30-day glimpse into the dark revealed the psychological scar of how quickly society can stop. A hyper-advanced civilization faces its ultimate test when it can no longer survive without its technology. The greatest vulnerability is the loss of the basic skills needed to function when the screens go dark.